So looking for this week, how much of a headache are you going to have? Is anybody back that were missing last week?
So no, our wingers aren't back. So Tom Davies won't play, and neither will Budgie, Joe Burgess. So Joe's got one more week. The specialist wants to give him one more week, and Tom, we just feel that we possibly could play, but we don't want to do any further damage to it. So we want to get him. We want to get him right. So he'll have the week off. But other than that, everyone's okay. Headaches every week, and that's what you want. We've got a strong squad. And people are fighting for position. So certainly there's headaches for myself and the other coaches who help pick a team.
I think it was probably mentioned to you after the final whistle last week about maybe options that you didn't go with last week. Are you seeing certain players raise their standards in training, knowing that there's potential opportunities for them just now?
Yeah, well, you do and you don't. So, when we pick a team, it's based on, I don't need to go into it because I've said it a number of times, but unfortunately we don't have a reserve grade competition here that's at a level that it should be at, because what happens is, players playing that every week and, they can get flow in their game, but also consistency, so players aren't playing a great deal who aren't in the first team. So what we try and do is get players out on loan, either to Super League clubs, Championship clubs, or they play reserves. So obviously we're looking at players there, but the way we train, especially in that pre-season, but even during the season, there's a lot of, we look to pick teams based around how people train. So, and the position that we're in now is a good position because you're getting a lot of different opinions on who should be where, which is good. You want to have that. It means that you've got a squad. But certainly when we pick teams and the other four coaches help pick a side, it's based on not just a performance 5 weeks ago that someone's played. It'll be based on training, and it'll be based on playing reserves. And, I think it's people that have a strong opinion of it. I listen to the people, that my coaches. But if other people are going to watch the reserves in our training and have a strong opinion of it, then it's a valid point or opinion because they can back it up with evidence, but a lot of times an opinion will be based on either reputation or could be based on a game that's they've played 4 or 5 weeks ago or whatever it is. But I certainly got whoever steps in this week and we'll do a job again. I know that.
So on to this week, Magic Weekend. There's obviously a buzz amongst the fans. It seems that the ticket sales are going very well amongst Rovers supporters. But for you as a coach, is it any different in the build-up to a weekend like this?
No, it's exactly the same, but obviously there's a bit more of excitement around it. Obviously when you get to Newcastle, I enjoyed it a couple of years ago when we went up and stayed. Last year we didn't, so it was sort of like a normal game of travelling to Leeds. We went on the day, so it sort of didn't really feel like Magic Round. When you got there, this was a little bit different, but Newcastle for me the year before felt like it was something different. Because you stay at the hotel, obviously you're seeing all different fans and they're out enjoying themselves, having a beer and in the sun now, which is good. So there's got that energy and feel about it, which Magic should. So I'm pleased that it's back up in Newcastle. We'll go up, we'll stay the night beforehand, so it's a good opportunity to connect with the group. But as I said, it's about the fans this weekend. It's about everyone coming together, and what I do like is there's a lot of rivalry and healthy sort of rivalry, but everyone's well behaved most of the time, and they enjoy themselves.
As a concept, then, is it something that you like?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. I'm all for it. I think it's good to get all teams under one roof for a couple of days playing, and where it's good to be out for other supporters to be able to go watch different teams. I'm sure certain fans would like to watch Wigan players who haven't seen them, or go watch another team that their second favourite team, for example, but they can't get there because either they're not their first favourite or because of where they live or whatever. But it's just good to it's a weekend where it's rugby league fans. People love the game itself, so they go watch it, and obviously there's other people there that probably haven't seen or watched the game before, but it's a weekend away with their friends or family, and they get to then we get a new audience in from them going to the games.
Your opponents are Salford this weekend. Is this a difficult one to prepare for? Because it seems that maybe Paul Rowley's not sure from one week to the next what kind of side he's got available. So how does that have a knock on to your preparation?
Yeah, it does and it doesn't. Naturally, we've sort of got an idea now who's going to play, for Salford. And to be honest, I know I say it every week, but we do worry about ourselves. Like we'll game plan Salford, so we've got the same, thorough preview as we normally would have. But probably what's a little bit different would be honing in on individuals. We'll certainly hone in on individuals and key individuals that they've got who we know are going to play. They're playing a similar style to what they did when they had their full strength team. So not a lot's changed. Obviously personnel. I mean, a lot's changed, internally and all that sort of thing. But from our perspective and the way we approach the game, we've approached it exactly the same. We've had a game day -4, which we do our review and then we sort of work on. How we're going to play against Salford. What they're going to throw at us. And today's been a normal game day -3. We have a day off tomorrow and then captain's run after that. So everything's been the same for us. Nothing's changed.
I guess with Salford as well, you know from what you're saying, you're preparing as you would for any other game, but you still can't take them lightly, can you? They've still got some experience in there. It's not a team full of kids that's just been thrown in. No,
absolutely. They've got some key players in there. And I think those players, like your Nicarimas and Isam Masters and obviously Ryan Briley didn't play last week, but the first two that I mentioned, they're playing their best footy or rugby because there's not as much pressure on them. They can go out and play free. If something doesn't come off, it not that it doesn't matter, but there's a bit of an excuse there in terms of that they don't have the salary cap, so they don't. Those players can go be themselves, and that can be dangerous. If you've watched Salford, they've been in a lot of games. There's probably been there's been a few times there, some back-to-back tries that sort of the game sort of slipped away. But then, once they've found their groove, they're in the match. So we're not taking them lightly at all. Like they're still a dangerous team. They've got dangerous individuals there. But again, as I always say that we can control what they throw at us by sticking to our systems and our principles.
Just go back to your team briefly. Can I just check on Kalepi Tanganoa? It was an HIA he came off with last week?
Yeah, that's right. So he won't play this week.
And if I can ask as well, there's been a story today that's broken, comments from Matty John saying about the British game should return to a winter season to potentially get some Australian players to come across for short spells. Have you any thoughts on that? How would you feel if the British game did switch back to a winter game?
I haven't thought about it too much, to be honest. I'm enjoying the sun, so I don't mind training in the sun. Look, I think, the other people making the decision, not myself, but I can understand where Matty's coming from there. What they're trying to do is obviously get some NRL players over here and vice versa, and sort of bring the competitions together a little bit. And, I'm all for growing this competition. There's no doubt about that. I'm all for how we can make our competition better because, we've got a wonderful product, and I keep saying that. The players are doing their part. It's obviously up to other people to make sure that the game keeps growing and we're getting better. So, Matty Johns is a very smart, intelligent man in terms of, rugby league, and he's creative with his ideas. And there's merit to what he's saying. Whether it works or not, it's not up to me. But I certainly, agree that we need to keep growing the game here and thinking outside the box.
Have you experienced, I think you have, haven't you, in a winter in Britain? Obviously, it changed the game a little bit, wouldn't it, going back to mud baths?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think you get the same product. I don't think it's free-flowing like it is now, and I think that's what makes our game enjoyable to watch over here. Like, it's a different product, and it's a great product. There's nothing wrong with the product here at all. It's getting better and better. The competition's getting tighter and tighter because most people now are spending cap, and you can see Castleford, obviously the last sort of couple of weeks or few weeks, bringing players in to strengthen their team. Teams are always looking to strengthen their roster because they want to go after it. Every team's going after to win a title or make semis, and that brings healthy competition to the and close games. So for me, I enjoy playing. I think the summer rugby is great because of the product. So look, I think when it gets the real heavy grounds and the style changes, and I think what we've got over here is, you look at Salford, the way Salford play. Teams aren't playing like that in the NRL. They play with a free spirit. Their style is totally different to anyone else, and anyone that goes and watches Salford play would enjoy watching them play. obviously there's the other side of the game as well, which is defence, and teams over here now are focusing more and more on defence. I've certainly seen that, but you still want the attack. You still want that's what the average punter enjoys watching is free flowing attack. So I think if you go back to winner to take that away, but I understand what Matty's saying. I certainly can understand his points.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Cheers.
Hey Willie, how are you doing?
James, good mate, you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I know you're not taking Salford lightly, but people look at who you're playing this week and the game you've got coming up next week and think you might take the opportunity to rotate your team. Are you considering resting a few this weekend?
No, mate. No, we'll go with the strong squad. So it's just the two that I mentioned before that won't play. But yeah, we'll definitely be going with a strong squad.
No, good stuff. And I'm sure you're already aware, but Wigan are the only team that have beaten OKR in 80 minutes since last May. Is that a bit of a bittersweet record?
Oh, look, we I don't think it means too much to me. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being disrespectful. We want to keep winning games, but it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, just got to keep working away. Keep your feet on the ground. Stay grounded. That's the most important thing because you can get carried away. And there's some good teams in this competition. If you're not on, they'll. Last week was a perfect example of that. So, we needed to find something that last 20 minutes. So, and we need to get better from that. We spoke about that half time, but we also addressed it after the game. So we know, we're going along okay at the moment. We're sitting in a really strong position, but we also know what's ahead as well.
Yeah, does it show how far you've come as a club that you have got that level of consistency and a good measure of the majority of sides in the competition?
Yeah, well, we've always said that we want our best and worst performance not too far away. So that's something that we do pride ourselves on. We want someone to go watch a game that doesn't know too much about rugby, but know that the players work hard for each other. They're a connected, committed team, and but we want to see that on a regular basis. So I think we are at the moment. You look at the best teams in the comp here and over in the NRL, that's what they do every week. That's why Wigan's in the position that they're in because they're so consistent and their best and worst is not too far away. So that's what we're striving to do. We aim to do that every week. And I get it. You're not always going to be peaking, and you want to peak at the right time, but you certainly want to have consistency because it's massive in the game. But you get that through your training, and you get that through your approach to how you prep. If you're consistent with all that sort of stuff, and then your recovery and what you do afterwards, then most of the time you're going to get a consistent performance.
Yeah, I know you don't look too far ahead. There's obviously that semi-final next week. Have you seen enough this year to convince you that you have gone up a level from last year?
I'll let you know after we play Catalans and after we play this weekend. Like we've got a game this week, which is a different challenge. As we know, we're playing against a team that's, as I said before, free spirit. They'll be playing carefree. I'm interested to see how we handle that. And then obviously the week after we've got a cup and. It'd be good. We're going in as favourites to that because that's where we are. Wigan's not in the competition, so how are we going to handle that? We'll worry about that next week. But so there's a few things to be answered at the moment, and the most important one is this weekend of how we handle Salford, who are a dangerous team or can be a dangerous team.
But so far you have handled everything, haven't you, apart from maybe that last 15 or so minutes against Wigan? Yeah,
that's fair. That last 15 minutes was we were way off. But again, that's where you need to peak in terms of the game. We've done that the last 2 weeks. We've had a really good back to our last 20 minutes have been great for our last two games. So we've learnt from that Wigan game. But you got to do it every week now. So we like to start fast, as well known. We get some flow in our game, but I think the best teams in the competition are the ones that finish strong in the back end of games. So it's something that we want to work on. We didn't get it right against Wigan, but we've certainly got it right the last 2 weeks.
No, good stuff. Thank you very much, Willie.
Cheers, mate.
Weekend.
Thanks, James. See you up there, mate.
Willie, you okay?
Sorry, who's that?
Stephen.
Hi, Stephen. How are you, mate?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we saw that Jesse didn't get any. Well, he didn't get a charge at all. I don't think from following that red card. Have you had confirmation then that red card was shown incorrectly? As sort of the logical conclusion to take from it.
I got a phone call and the message that Jesse had no charges. Look, I didn't think, as I said after the game, that it was a red card. So once the panel said that it was no charge, we moved on from it.
Did you get an understanding of sort of the thought process why he was given a red card? So we were all quite confused by it.
Yeah, there was a word that they used at the time, but I was just going to wait and see what the panel said, because there's nothing I could have done about it. At the time, he got sent off. We got through the game. So then it goes back to what the panel sort of say in terms of that's what matters to me at the end of the day is going to be, okay, well, do we have our player for next week? Does he lose points, or does he, do they see it how we saw it? And then there would have been questions in and around that afterwards, and then we would have had to look at whether we fought it or not. But it's good that the panel saw what most people were seeing.
Yeah. Just to bring it back to, you were talking right at the start about versatility in your squad, and mentioned Jack. Have you known many players who can play that many positions?
I mentioned last week, I think it was, the only person that comes to mind is probably Connor Watson. Connor Watson he's playing at the Roosters now. I had him at Newcastle. He was a versatile player like that. And some people look at that, and they've got to find a position. And it was always with Connor, it was be the best versatile player you can, because Craig Wing was very similar. I mean, Craig played in the halves, but then he could play hooker, 6, 7, 1, and he was a great player, Craig Wing. But then Connor's gone on to play Origin, so you can still be recognised for being a versatile player. And I think that's the important part for Jack. Jack's a valuable member of our team. There'll be times, there has been times that he hasn't been there. He's been the 18th man, but he's still such an important part. So, whether he plays fullback, wing, centre, as I said, in the halves or hooker, that's where he's played. He's played everywhere and does a great job. Gets man of the match on the wing. He's got man of the match at fullback. It's a credit to Jack, the way, I call it a footy play. You can just put him anywhere, but how he can just adapt, it's a great mindset to have. Because some people can get, they can use it as an excuse. Some players would go, oh, well, I want to play fullback, or I want to play a certain position, where Jack's just like, great, he wants to be in the team like any other player, but goes after it no matter where he is.
Has that been your specific message to Jack, that it's okay to be a versatile player and not have to worry about finding one? Because I know in the past at other clubs he has been a bit anxious to try and nail down one position and one place in the team. Yeah,
it's a difficult one, because players obviously want to have a set position, but with someone like Jack, he's going to play a grand final, which he played last year, worked his way in the team, and he'll be in the Challenge Cup semi, and obviously the aim is to play in the Challenge Cup final. So again, we don't know where Jack's going to be, but he will be. He'll be in the team. So it's a great position for him to be in, because he's always going to be thought upon whenever we're picking a team. So that's what I can guarantee him, and providing he's doing what he's doing and he prepares the way he does. As I said before, he hasn't been in the team at times, but it's because we've got a strong squad, and that's just who we've got in for that week. So he's we love working with Jack, and he's a great teammate to his other mates, and he's a valuable part of what we do.
Do you think in your mind there is one particular position that he is best in as well? So I think you could ask sort of the other coaches he's worked under, and they might all give you a different answer to that question. Yeah,
I think he'd have a different answer, to be honest. That's what makes him such a valuable utility player, and it's unique, because I was sort of leaning. Once it was centre, but I saw him play wing, and he played well on the wing. And then he went to fullback, and he's a running fullback. So there is 3 key positions, and then I put him at hooker. We're going to bring him on at hooker, and I was a bit worried about his dummy half pass, and then he's just nailing them at training, and he's getting out and squaring markers up, and he's doing things that take hookers years. So that's a rugby player. So look, it's hard to actually say what his best position is. It's hard to give you an answer, to be honest.
I can tell, yeah. Thanks very much. All the best this weekend.
Cheers. Thank you.